Hi, I'm Jess Kidd, author of this book, Things in Jars, and I'm here at the old operating theatre in Herb Garrett near London Bridge Station to tell you all about this book and the place that inspired some of the gruesome medical scenes. Follow me if you dare. The old operating theatre is located in the attic of St Thomas's Church, and when St Thomas's Hospital moved site in 1862, the entrance to the operating theatre was sealed up and it was left forgotten for nearly 100 years when it was rediscovered and opened again as a museum. And it was really the site that inspired a lot of the kind of surgical interventions that I have in the book. So now we're here actually in the operating theatre, which was first built in 1822. And you could imagine the excitement of rediscovering this space. So try and picture this absolutely full of medical students, visiting surgeons and doctors, and the surgeon actually operating here. Sometimes they actually had to call for the space to be cleared so they had a bit more room to operate. And this operating theatre was for female patients, for women patients, as they would have been brought in through this wall where there was a door, and before anaesthesia, blindfolded, so they didn't have to cope with the gaze of all the students leering down from the stands around them. Things in Jars is set in London in 1863, and our protagonist is Bridie Devine, who is an investigator of the bizarre, and her latest case is the kidnapping of Christabel Berwick, a small child who's said to be remarkable and is not supposed to exist. And so as Bridie fights to recover this stolen child, she enters a world of fanatical anatomists and twisted showmen and crooked collectors. And as she's drawn into this world, she starts to resurrect the ghosts of her own forgotten past. One of the reasons why I wanted to write a novel set in Victorian times is because it's such a rich world, and part of the fun was researching that world. And although I knew I wanted to weave in some mythology and folklore and supernatural, I also wanted to give a basis of a really gritty, accurate portrayal of Victorian London. And I was very influenced by Henry Mayhew's London Labour and the London Poor and the accounts of the working people of London. And so it felt to me really important that it was informed by real historical detail, and then I could put my flights of fancy in. Although the operating scenes in the Things in Jars are set in St Bart's, this was really the space that influenced them. And when Bridie comes to witness an operation in the theatre, she's disguised as a man for two reasons. Firstly, in 1863, although paying members of the public could witness operations, Bridie is going into a teaching environment where women were not allowed. And there's another good reason why she wanted to be disguised, is because the operation was being done by a surgeon called Dr. Gideon Eames, who was one of the horrors of her childhood. And so in this, I was really inspired by the case of Dr. James Barry, who was a military surgeon who, on his death in 1865, was revealed to have been a woman. And actually, Dr. Barry trained here at St Thomas's when this was St Thomas's, so he could well have been standing exactly where I am.